welcome. We don't have a timekeeper yet. Does someone volunteer to be timekeeper? Can be anybody.
I'm just keeping track of it too.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead and ring us in. Normal Heights community, the Normal Heights Planning Group envisions a healthy, vibrant community that honors unceded community land and cares for all inhabitants. We prioritize inclusive and equitable land use, valuing people over commodification through pedestrian-friendly infrastructure, transit-oriented development, open space preservation, and affordable housing. We strive for a vibrant and sustainable neighborhood. Additionally, we promote responsible economic development that supports historic preservation, local businesses, fosters job opportunities, and enhances the overall economic vitality of Normal Heights. So at this point, we have a modification to the agenda for the action decision items. There should be a project listed. Do you have a PRJ number? Okay. And this is for 4712 Felton. What's a quick description of the project?
Change of use from vacant to.
Okay. We'll muddle through as we get there. We don't do very many of these, so we're still getting used to it. Thank you. Okay, so items may be addressed. So I guess first of all, we need a motion to add an item to the agenda.
They're technically not allowed. Has to be on the door 72 hours in advance. Technically.
Understood. I'm willing to take the risk here. In light of the city wanting to expedite permits. So we're gonna kind of play nice, and if someone objects and challenges it, then you may have to come back and represent and go back through the process. Yes.
So this is something that we need to take care of this month because the city wants to expedite the process.
Yes.
Yeah, we just submitted our second. Yeah.
Okay, and we weren't aware of this until
We exchanged some emails. I did not see anything from the city that I recall, so
Okay.
I'll have to go back through my records and see where I missed it.
Okay,
But I'm pretty sure I'll take the blame.
sounds to me like okay to me.
Okay, so I'll take that as a second.
So I'll second, yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Any nays? Feel free to nay. Oh, we're agenda modification to add an item.
Okay.
Oh yeah, PRJ 1123 673. Okay. Let me make sure we are, yes, we are recording. Okay. So that's the next item is that we are recording all of our meetings and we post them in the next day or two after the meeting on our website. And we do not, although we record the chat, we don't use it for official proceedings. If you are in the Zoom, please do enter your chat into the chat, your name just for the attendance record. And for those in the room, we do have a sign-in sheet. Your attendance record is appreciated in terms of the volume of participation from the community. The rules, no cussing, no hollering, no spitting on the floor, no fighting, and say it with me, no horses inside. We'll do some board introductions. I still have my previous slide from last time, so we do not have a topic. So we'll just go around the room and do a quick round of introductions, starting with Dan.
Brian Adams, I live on Main Street.
Jacob Koopman, 35th in Monroe.
Gregory Stone, 30, Alan Hargela, I live on McClintock.
Paul Coogan, I live on Collier and what I call the trombone.
I'm Julia and I live on all. Hi, Emily, I live on 36. Hi, Sammy, and I live above Fly Lady on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and, I think we're cool enough now. We can kill off the fans. Yeah, this one, I guess that one's already. Okay. Time for non-agenda public comments, 2 minutes per person, then we'll start with attendees in the room. Does anyone have public comment? Yes.
We're doing some block party this weekend on week, 6 p.m. And the address is 49, sorry, Adams Ave, Miracle Drive and Euclid Ave. So it's along Adams between Miracle and Euclid.
Okay,
It'll be blocked off all the way to Miracle along Adams.
block party in Kensington, and the date was Talmadge. Thank you. Okay, further south. Okay, and the date, I'll repeat it for the Saturday, October 5th. Sometimes the folks on the Zoom have a hard time hearing from the back. All right, is there any, yes,
Hey, I'm Terry Hoskins. I'm running. I don't know if you have, I'm gonna have to walk up there to it.
if we can, if this device can hear you, you're good.
Sure. I'm Terry Hoskins. I'm running for city council. I just wanted to, for district meeting. Just wanted to introduce myself. Say I'm just here listening to all the concerns and issues. And there's another forum that's coming up. There's 2 more this month. We've had 2 forums and 1 debate so far. And with the current council member, the other 2 is coming up. One is at the church and at Kensington, and the other one is at Rolando at their normal monthly meeting. Thank you. Hope to see you there.
You too, okay. Anyone else in the room?
I can get it.
What date? What date?
Yeah.
14.
Just 14.
October 14th, okay. We have someone on Zoom, name is iPhone. Go ahead and you have a statement.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Becky Rapp, and I recently came and shared some information regarding the a grand jury report to the city recommending that they develop and publish reports that document the fiscal and law enforcement impacts of the legalization and develop legalization of marijuana, pot shops, and develop a public education campaign highlighting the impacts of cannabis use on children and seniors. And today I wanted to share with you, the city did respond to that grand jury report. Their findings were that when it came to the non-fiscal costs, the county, it says that the county does not report the non-fiscal costs of legalized cannabis, leaving cities unaware of the full non-fiscal impacts of cannabis. So the city said the finding applies to the county of San Diego, therefore a response is not provided. In regards to school-age children and seniors and the negative effects that it's had on them, Again, the city said the finding applies to the county of San Diego, therefore a response is not provided. So this is very concerning. What it says to the public and me as a parent is that when the city chooses to permit a business and locate them in our city, they take no responsibility for the negative impacts and pass the baton on to the county. This is not right and unfair, and I would encourage you to contact the council member and the mayor's office in regards to these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on Zoom that would like to comment? All right, then,
I got something.
yes.
I've been talking, this is more towards the board, I've been talking with these people at, New Path Narcan Project. We're giving away these free little kits, if you ever come across someone overdosing, you can get a free kit, and a little guy, it's really easy to just have someone's nose or will spray. But I said we'd keep this one in the building here in case we ever came across someone out front, overdosing or anything like that.
That was just gonna suggest that.
This one's for the community center here.
Okay. I'm thinking that the church across the street would also be a good location for something like that.
Where did you get that? It's an FYI. New Path, Narcan Project, you can look them up online.
Point of order, did you skip over approval of the minutes?
No, we haven't got there yet. Yes, I'm gonna jump back up to the top. But thank you for the reminder. Before we go on to Alan's presentation, let's do the approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a copy? Email? We have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, second. Nancy? And any discussion, modifications? Then we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of approving minutes from the last meeting? And you have to count? Well, we'll keep our hands raised.
I was gonna just do the ones that were abstaining because I was sneaky with the ones that weren't
Oh,
putting their hands up, but.
okay.
Eight.
We have 8, okay,
That's your 9.
I'm not, because I wasn't here, so I thought.
okay, then we'll move to the nays.
Yeah,
Any nays?
well, not me,
And then any abstains?
yeah.
4 abstains, okay. I'm assuming that those are all because you weren't here.
Yeah.
All right, the next up, Alan's going to present on land capture. No, you're not going to present on land capture value, excuse me. I'm still running the presentation from last month. Excuse me. But I will stop sharing. Did you want to share from where you are? Or have
Yeah, I
it
can
closed?
share where I'm at.
Okay.
Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think,
All right, great.
there we go.
Okay, so we've been talking a little bit about short-term rentals, and the city ordinance has been in effect for a little over a year now, so I thought it was probably a good time for, to look around and see if there has been an effect on housing availability because of the presence of short-term rentals, and if so, how much? So I asked myself the question, how much does the presence of short-term rentals impact housing supply in Normal Heights? What I did was I identified all the short-term rental licenses for property within the city, within the Normal Heights community planning area. Then I searched Airbnb and matched up licenses with Airbnb ads. Used the descriptions in the Airbnb ads to identify those short-term rentals that are for entire homes and that are full-time. And then I also looked at characteristics like, are they single-family homes or are they apartments, condos, ADUs? And also number of bedrooms. A little bit about the ordinance. I assume most people are familiar with it. If not,
A license is required to rent a home or a part of a home for less than 30 days. Each dwelling unit must have a separate license. So if there's more than one dwelling unit on a parcel, so if there's 3 houses, for example, on a lot, if each one is a short-term rental, each one needs to have a separate license. Each license has a host, and each host can only have 1 license. There's 4 tiers, only 3 of them apply here. One of them is for Mission Beach only, and the total number of whole home short-term rental licenses is supposed to be capped at 1% of all the homes in the city, not counting Mission Beach because they have their own thing going. And so the tiers. Tier 3 licenses, called whole home, are for short-term rentals. They have to be short-term rentals at least 90 days of the year, and the host does not live on the parcel. And these are the licenses that count toward the city's 1% cap. Tier 2 licenses, they call home share. And the one thing they all have in common is the host must reside somewhere on the parcel for at least 9 months a year. There are different types of short-term rentals that are tier 2. Some of them are a room in a home. Others are the entire home while the host is away. And that would necessarily be less than 3 months because the host is required to live there at least 9 months. And there are also entirely separate homes on the same parcel that are used as short-term rentals year-round. And again, no tier 2 licenses count toward the cap. And then tier 1 licenses are for 20 days or less. And so those aren't going to really impact housing availability at all, those tier 1 licenses. So here's a copy of the city's map on their short-term rental website. And each dot represents a license. Blue dots are tier 1 licenses, green dots tier 2, and orange dots tier 3. And so when I pulled the city's list, it was the middle of not last month anymore, a little over about a month and a half ago, it was the middle of August. There were 148 licenses in the Normal Heights community planning area. 73 were tier 3, 71 tier 2, and 4 were tier 1. So then I spent an awful lot of time searching Airbnb. And I was able to locate the short-term rental ads for 60 of the tier 3 licenses and for 55 of the tier 2 licenses. All of the tier 3 licenses appeared to be whole homes rented out as short-term rentals pretty much all the time. And 34 out of the 55 tier 2 licenses appeared to be whole homes and rented out most of the time as short-term rentals. I based this on the ads themselves. When an Airbnb doesn't have a host living there while you're there, that's a selling point. So they all say that you get this place to yourself if you do. And I determined full-time primarily based on reviews. If there were multiple reviews every month going back a year, that pretty much tells you that's a full-time Airbnb. There was only a couple of reviews like right around Comic-Con that tells you that's probably not a full-time Airbnb. And so this is what I found. There were 94. I found 94 short-term rentals for whole homes, full-time, advertised on Airbnb. 48 were single-family houses. 46 were ADUs, apartments, or condos. There were 10 studios, 28 one-bedroom units, 40 two-bedroom units, and 16 3- and 4-bedroom units. And then the geographic distribution. I kind of expected this from the map, but I checked all the addresses, and they're pretty much distributed throughout the neighborhood. There's nowhere in the neighborhood that they are, every house on the block, but there's also nowhere in the neighborhood that's entirely free of them. There's some blocks that don't have any, and there's some blocks that have maybe three or four. And so this is how I decided to try to figure out, like, what is the impact? What does 94 mean? So first I thought, well, how do I approach this? One way to look at it would be how the city ordinance does. And that's saying all tier 3 licenses are the whole home, full-time Airbnbs. And that's the approach the city takes. It's probably the most efficient approach. And there's 73 tier 3 licenses. And so that represents about 0.91% of the total homes in the neighborhood. I estimated the total homes at 8,000 because I think the number that we got from what's his name, Alex?
Alex Frost.
Alex Frost with the Mid-City Community Planning Update. The total number of homes in Normal Heights had been 8,000, then it went to 7,900 something in 2022. And there've been some ADUs built since then, so it's probably right around 8,000. But then there's also the approach that I kind of took where if you count the ones that I found, there were 94, which puts us a little bit over 1% of the total number of homes. And then another approach might be to take the city's approach of all tier 3, because by definition, they are whole home short-term rentals, and then add in the tier 2 whole home, full-time short-term rentals I found. And that gets you up to 107, which is about 1 1/3% of our total. Another way I started looking at it is that's roughly around 100. And there's about 100 blocks in Normal Heights. So there's roughly 1 whole home, full-time short-term rental for every block in the neighborhood. And one thing that kind of stood out to me was of the ones that I found, the 94, 1 out of 3 of those were tier 2. So they don't count toward the 1% cap of whole home short-term rentals. And so that's basically what I have. I wanted to share it with you because we've been talking about it and I wanted to get some idea of the extent.
Thanks. Let's take questions from the board first.
In your last statement, is that reason what's happening is because the people reside on here too?
Yes. They're supposed to reside on the top.
Not a question, just a comment. I know there's other vacation rentals. Thank you for doing this. I think it's really important to understand, but, and I would not expect you to do it because there's so many, but I found there's a few other websites, like there's Verbo, and then there's one on my street that I can't find on anything. And I know there's like, I forget what it's called, but there's like another website. So I think that's all that's to say, there's even potentially more beyond even just Airbnb. So thank you so much. It was really enlightening.
Yeah. My understanding is that Vacasa consolidated a lot of the smaller players and is now the largest renter. But I'm not, I think the Airbnb data may include a lot of overlap because they advertise through the multiple channels.
That's a good point too, yeah.
Yeah. I had a question on total number of bedrooms, because you had a slide that showed the breakdown. What did you come up with the total?
Total number of bedrooms combined.
Yeah,
Um,
right. So that's the what the next on the next slide was. I could go forward one. Yeah. Oh, no, you're right. Okay. So it's.
Oh, that's math. So that would be 80.
That's
108,
okay.
118.
Yeah.
Plus
10, 28,
around 150.
80. And yeah, about it. So that's 150 sleeping spaces that are eliminated from our community alone,
Roughly, yeah.
roughly. Okay.
That
Yeah.
I found.
Any other questions from the board?
I got a comment, a question.
Yes.
I think it'd be a good idea to maybe work with other community planning groups and see if they're willing to do similar studies in their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I'll take it to the CPC for distribution.
Get a
I
real
will
idea.
Paul, when I covered you for CPC, must have been like June, May?
Yeah.
Whatever month that was, there was a really good presentation about short-term rentals, and it was from a couple of people that lived in OB that had some really interesting kind of data on that. With OB, it's just, I mean, they had astounding numbers. It's taken up entire apartment complexes.
Okay. Questions from the floor? Yes.
I define whole home as a dwelling unit that can be rented. So,
Not shared.
right, not shared. So like an entire house or an entire apartment or an entire ADU, not like a room in a house. When I found anything that was a room in a house, I just disregarded that.
I think with the ADUs, there's some distinctions in how they're implemented. distinctions in how even they're defining the room as part of a public space. So I don't think it's pretty.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments from the Zoom session? If you do, go ahead and unmute. All right, yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, we can move to the election of new board members if we have any candidates to present.
No forms back. We did send 12 out though, 12 inches.
Okay, maybe in the next cycle. Good.
Hear back from them by like maybe the middle of the month, like send a follow-up just to remind them about our meeting.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
New board.
Oh, excellent. Did you, have you filled out a form? Ah, we will get that to you pronto. And then,
Tonight.
they- and you'll need to attend 2 meetings
Right.
in the past 12 months. So this is your second? Okay, and then you're over 18. And you live in Normal Heights or own land in Normal Heights. Wow,
I saw you at
Perfect.
the street fair, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you had checked the box for,
Yep, on the last meeting.
you might check your junk folder because I sent an email to everyone who checked that box. So check your spam or junk folder.
and I'm sorry, your name?
Madison Stevens. Would I need to wait till next month's meeting then, or?
Well, we need to get your application and then we'll make a motion and get you seated. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah? Okay,
I remember you.
well, we're in good hands because Jacob's both running our outreach for new board members and is parliamentarian, so he's familiar with both how to do it and when to do it. So he'll guide you through the process.
From Jacob A. Kootman@gmail.com. JACOB, the letter A, KOO, P as in Paul, M as in Mary, ANN@gmail.com.
Which, by the way, if anybody wants an email address that's at normalheightstpg.org, we can do that.
Be great.
Yeah. And let's move on to PRJ 1105-637 easement vacation for 3404 Cromwell Place. Do we have anyone representing for that location and that project? Going once? Okay, sure. Question?
Maybe this is the right.
No, it's okay.
They're not even. No, never mind. I'll hold.
Well,
my
I give-
questions until-
I'll give a little background on it.
Yeah,
They were gonna present before about doing an easement vacation to change how the stormwater drained near their property. The project has changed since then, and they're not changing the stormwater drainage at all. They're simply putting in a pool and an ADU, I think, and which should be a ministerial process that's completely according to code. So I don't know that they actually have to present. Yes, Danielle?
A question, this is an easement vacation, which means that the stormwater channel should be across their property still. Not near their property.
Oh, across, yes. So they've decided to not make any changes.
So
To
they're
the
still
stormwater.
Going to allow the city to go onto their property to check into the canyon to see what erosion is happening at the fallout of the.
I would assume so.
to look at it.
I did too.
Did you? And it's still there. The storm drain appears to still be there and goes under the property. Like it goes.
When I was there, it looked like the asphalt was a block of asphalt where I grew up on the corner opposite there,
Right.
19 years. I remember the water used to go straight westward.
Mhm.
Behind the Carmelites back entrances, and then off of this piece of property we're talking about. When I was there, it looked like the entrance to the storm drain was filled with asphalt. A plastic PVC pipe went across their driveway to the other side of their driveway and then onto their property. So somebody's finagled something or another in the past.
Oh,
Interesting.
then, is there a concern that we should be following up on, or is it until,
Stormwater, it would be nice to have them inspected to be of that storm easement. Still functioning,
okay, so we can ask,
because if not, then it will flood the whole Cromwell place.
we can ask, we'll ask them,
If
okay,
they still have an easement on their property, the city should be allowed to go on and inspect it.
I'll ask if they have, if they're allowing inspections.
If they're not vacating the easement, if they're not taking away that easement, the easement should still be there for the city to go through their.
Right. And so it sounds to me like there's no change.
It sounds to me like a previous owner tried to reroute stormwater.
Gotcha. And now the new owner is saddled with that change. Okay. Yes,
I was gonna say, I can connect to
We know, it's Jillian Haynes, Assistant Deputy Director for Water Department. It says on the cycles letter.
okay. Do you need the cycle letter?
Project.
I will forward you the cycle letter, so that, you have. Yes,
In the project review, which I read, there are a lot of concerns. If the stormwater drain has been tampered with, that property is right on the edge of a multiple species habitat area. And any water that's full of pollutants that spills out, that's obviously going to end up a very rare species of birds that nest there.
Okay.
And additionally, it's a very high fire severity zone. So the city said no to what they wanted to do in everything I read.
Yeah, they pulled the request.
And so
They will only the request for the easement.
for the correct.
So that means that they're going to allow the city to stay on
For the terms of
the
the,
easement vacation.
right, there is no more, yeah, there isn't an easement vacation.
There isn't a vacation. on the
Correct,
easement.
they
There's
just,
still
the
going to be
easement
an
will still exist.
easement will continue to exist.
easement for a while. Because somebody's taking it.
Okay,
Thank you.
is that, should that go to blue? Okay. I'll forward you the info. The letter. Okay, thank you. Next up is PRJ 1123-673 4712 Felton. This is a vacant property that is going to become active as a nonprofit restaurant. Okay,
So we are in the process of getting our permit to construct this. I've gone through its second first round of edits and then just got submitted to DSC last week, last Monday. And because it just barely went over the clock on 2 years, because the landowner had some written affidavit from any department to build a bar. He used to own St. Morgan, so he is the landlord of 4712. So we thought we were gonna start doing a restaurant, but found out that it was like a few months over 2 years, and so now they need to go through the NEP process to debate the use. So that's why I'm here, to kind of get the NEP process moved. And I just have a short PowerPoint to show you the program. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about the process or just like the context?
What permits are you applying for? What's the discretionary action?
Technically it was vacant, and so now it's going to become a restaurant.
Okay.
If we were just 3 months earlier, I wouldn't even be here because it would just be like, there, but yeah.
Okay.
Here, it's 4712, right behind Yoga Box, across on Felton, you know where Starbucks is?
North or south of that?
It's north of Adams.
Okay.
So behind, Starbucks, it's white.
Yeah, the white.
Yeah, it used to be a lighting studio. It made the Normal Heights sign. back in the day. It was a welding shop. And it was, myself, yeah, and I was planning on my dancer, so there's all sorts of clicking, columns.
That's okay.
It'll be very fun for you guys. Though.
We'll make sure to get you back.
You can
This.
just do my thing. Oh, if I get that, can I do this? And then it will be less painful for you. Oh, me to be like advance.
Sure. Totsy totsy.
That kind of gal.
Okay. Identifying your keyboard, press the key immediately to the right of the shift key. Immediately to the right of the shift key. That would be that one. How about this one? Skip.
Just skip it. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Let's go back to advance.
See what happens.
Yeah,
I can always hit spacebar.
nothing's happened. Wait,
Okay.
did I turn it on? Off?
Okay.
Oh, it's going. It's there. Okay, awesome. Now I have to remember. Okay, so this is just another introduction to Make Projects. This is the property 4712 Felton Street, technically 4712/4714.
Oh, let me share with the Zoom folks. Share. They will see this one, I think.
And I didn't introduce myself. Marvel. My name is Anshi May. I'm the executive director and founder of Make Projects. Make stands for Emerging Agriculture Kitchens and Employment. And I was here last month, so okay, ready?
Not quite. It says screen sharing is paused. Let's try something else. Let's do share. Desktop. Not perfect, but visible. Okay. No. We need to bring the focus. Weird.
Good.
Is it good? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna touch it.
Okay, so Make Projects. First, what do? Our mission is to empower refugee and immigrant women and youth with the job readiness skills and confidence to achieve their dreams. So our mission as a 501c3 is very much of a job readiness program. How we do this is through operating our restaurant and farm. So currently we're on University Avenue in North Park, 2920 in the old restaurant location. That's our brunch. We do a breakfast, lunch, 9 to 3, Wednesday through Sunday. It's a table service. It's delicious. We've served participants from over 30 countries over the last 7 years. And our chefs, we have a full-time chef. We have actually 2.5 chefs and a full-time farmer. So we have a very unique global cuisine. You know, we have like customers that come in, but the people who work with our professional trainers are our participants. So they are getting real world paid minimum wage plus tips. Wages while they're learning how to work in America. We also have a farm at SCSU Mission Valley where you can see the trolley at SCSU Mission Valley there. It's a 1 acre farm. So that's where our farm to table concept is. And our participants start out there for 2 weeks and support our CSA program, which is that weekly prepaid subscription box. And we have about 36 customers right now, and we're growing up to 60. And you can see we just had a farm party on Saturday where we invited our CSA customers. We had kids activities where they picked the flowers and did printing. So in general, we also strive to be like a community organization to really help build a more inclusive intercultural San Diego. That's our vision. And our programs, so the participants are all enrolled for 12 weeks in a paid work experience and job readiness program. The first month is just spent focusing on learning to work. Often it's their first job in America, and for some women, their first job ever, perhaps. For many refugee women from lower literacy backgrounds, maybe they never went to school or didn't see past, say, the 2nd grade, right, in some cultures. And so coming to America, coming to San Diego, coming to anywhere in America where housing is ridiculously expensive, you need 2 income earners. And so often it's women who don't get as much of the workforce development programming. And so here we have a fully competent kind of linguistic program. We partner with San Diego Community College District to enroll participants. And so they're learning and developing their English speaking confidence with us. Month 2, we shift to next job prep, and they're attending our employment workshops to learn, resume, job interview norms, and all that good stuff we all kind of know about. And then month 3, they're starting to apply for jobs in real interview prep, because you can't memorize the script, right? So we really have to start doing that with them there. So that's what this restaurant is, and that's why we're 501c3, is because this is all a platform for getting something on their resume, real work experience, showing up on time, reading a schedule, but also more importantly, the confidence that you get when you're surrounded by Americans and other English speakers who are talking with you, listening to you, and encouraging you to really just become your full self again. So this is the site, and this is just a very rough rendering of what we plan to do. So very much keeping the building, keeping the footprint. There's 5 parking spaces now, so we'll bring that out to the front and really just kind of create a very green outdoor garden patio. And then here's more of a floor plan of the building. So you can see that the white building that will be the dining room. There was a kind of garage in the back that has no real roof, and so we have to pretty much reconstruct that room altogether, and that will be the commercial kitchen. We'll tuck a small classroom office in the back, got some bathrooms in that southern, as well as small rooms in the back on the bottom there. And then mostly it'll be open for our culinary garden patio. We'll have a little outdoor meeting space in the back. So the footprint is about a little under 2,000 square feet of built square footage. And then the whole lot is about 5,000 square feet. So, it's about 3,000 square feet. That's it. Just full picture there. I'll stop here. If you have any questions about the design or anything about our activity.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
I wondered where the people that come to work with you, where you get them, and I wondered where you're funding.
Great question. The people who come to our program, we recruit from San Diego Community College Continuing Ed School. The Mid-City ESL College is right in the heart of City Heights, levels 1 through 7. We recruit levels 2 and up. Level 1 is you're learning ABC. So there's a sweet spot of level 2s and 3s where that's the greatest need. And that's also what I call the valley. That's when you're a tourist in Italy and you're afraid to speak Italian because nobody will understand. That's how it is for women here. Once you get to 4, 5, and 6, you're going to be okay. So we really focus on a combination of 2s and 3s and then higher levels. Right now, we've had a lot of people from Haiti, Afghanistan, but we just enrolled someone from Ukraine and Japan last month, who's also in ESL college. So it's not like a generic just because there's a political crisis here that tends to be maybe 70%. But because we're in ESL, we're starting to recruit at NHCPG college as well. It'll be a range of who comes in because we really want our model, knowing the high cost of living. No longer can you just expect to find a living a minimum wage job and just do fine. So we're really shifting to a model where we're looking to find part-time employer partners so that participants can keep continuing their ESL college with some certificate program and really the living wage. So anyway, so we're recruiting all around, and a lot of them tend to live in City Heights. So that's why Normal Heights, it's a great neighborhood, is because it'll be busing distance and a good first job out of their neighborhood and in a more mainstream, kind of diverse neighborhood for them to, if they're English, be feel confident. But then they're going to be busing an hour, for jobs and off the phone or whatever. Yeah, and then your second question is funding. About 80%, 80% on a good day. The 80% of our funding right now is grant based. I've got federal workforce development grants, state, county, private foundation grants. We've been funded for over 7 years. But the goal and the promise and why we're taking the lead to our own big space is we want to be a successful social enterprise. The more successful we are from a business perspective, the more work, the more hustle, the more customers, the more interactions, the more successful all around our participants get, because it's less like volunteers and staff talking to you, but because there's a hustle and a bustle, and it's like, this happened with a very low speaker from Afghanistan a few weeks ago, where I was working with her all week, and then someone told me on the weekend, it was so busy that Sunday. She was in the kitchen going, yeah, 4, I need the 4, you know, it's just like, you don't have time to second guess yourself. So, so our goal is to become 50-50 income versus grants donation. We're like 1%, below 1% of the donation. Primarily grants, 20 to 30% business income from our restaurant sales and farms, yes. So we did a lot of growth over the last year. So now it's the time of next year to start building up the marketing and really kind of grow. Yeah.
Any other questions for the board? Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask on the university property, I got to go there. It's really cool.
God, oh, this time last year I was cleaning it out. Yeah, we know the landowner. We used to be on 30th Street and still vacant lot. Okay, so then we moved into that November 7th. Last year was our first service at the former Crush. So we're almost coming on our 1-year anniversary there. Thank you. Yay.
Are you moving that location over?
That is gonna eventually become a 7-story like apartment
And that's
complex.
why you're motivated.
Yeah,
to
we
come
were
out?
only, no, we were, believe it or not, I was actually in negotiations on this before that opportunity came up. I was like in 9 months of LOI negotiations. In the meantime, the former board member is the landowner of that, and so the restaurant folded. And so he was like, look, I'm gonna have this vacant restaurant space for a year before we develop. And I know Meek is looking, is this gonna be like some creative, and we have a good deal on it. There's no way we could pay real fascinating restaurant retail. 2920 University Avenue, where the North Park sign is, in North Park, where the black facade right next to Shaken. Yeah. Any better questions, Leah?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
wondering when you're expecting to open. I want to know.
Can we make it in before the holiday, standstill, which is what I'm, kind of gunning everything right now? Then I would love to be permitted and ready to go by the end of this year so we can start demo and construct. And I already have a JC lined up since like 6 months ago, and he's awesome. And so I'd love to break ground like demo in January, and he thinks he could be done in 4 months. So let's just say May.
So what
Yeah,
Any other board?
exactly,
Questions?
what are you asking of the board?
your support that this is a great thing so that NUP and DSD, they all know that like the community is in support. I might have to go to CPC or planning commission or something later for the NUP, but you guys support it.
So sorry, you're getting a neighborhood use permit?
Yes,
Oh,
we
okay.
need, that's what I've
Okay.
understood,
Yeah.
that part of the NUP process.
Okay.
We need the NUP for this.
So
and
you have not submitted building
we submitted last week,
permit.
and NUP has also
Okay,
been,
so you're doing a.
we submitted building permit 3 months ago. And
Okay,
they
and then
came
they.
back
told
at
you-
it, and they said, oh, your zoning is off. In fact, you
Got
can't even build that. You need to
Okay.
shrink it
So now
down
you're-
and blah, blah. So we redesigned all summer. We submitted it with all the edits from the first round of EXC and with the NUP
So,
application.
so as an NUP, we're just evaluating, is this a good business for the neighborhood? And not actually looking at like, oh, is your drainage been like,
No.
or plumbing or whatever? No,
It's a
Okay.
use, my understanding for why it's triggered an NUP is that it was vacant.
I see.
And now we're going to like activate it with something that is not technically CT, whatever the zoning is like a parking lot. As a former planner, it makes no sense to me why you zoned transition CT, like commercial transitional between like commercial to residential is CT1. I think it's a CT5.
It's generally so that you have a commercial corridor, apartment buildings, and then single family homes.
Okay, I was told that maybe it was just like not on the from our architects, that it was like, it's basically zoned as parking. So you need to go through the process for it to be not.
Well, we don't like empty parking lots.
Yeah. And and there's a half a garden on this lot,
All right. Well, I think that this has been a great thing for you to present here. I think that It's the only, what I think my question is how many do you seat? And how many turns do you do?
I think about 50. We do 50 seats. And then I wish we do 2 turns, like 2 full turns, but yeah,
Okay,
because we're open from 9 to 3. Maybe we might get it to 8 to 2 or something, like actually hit that breakfast.
okay. So your potential foot traffic is probably around 50 humans.
Yeah. Max, great.
On a good night. Okay,
So, yes, I would say 50. Easy.
yes, Danielle, you had a question. It is now.
So the little map there, are you fronting Adams Ave?
No, Felton.
So you're on Felton. Where is Adams Ave according to that map?
It's this way.
So the yoga box is right here. And it's
Oh, there's more building before Adams.
the yoga box.
The back of yoga.
Okay, so who is to the north of you?
Lovely old.
Single family?
Single
A
family.
little bungalow, I think.
Where's your parking?
Nope. Will be neighborhood, people will do on-street parking.
Where's your ADA parking?
My understanding, we don't need. It's not required, it's required. Yeah.
Just ADA accessibility to the building, not parking.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a,
so you don't have any parking on Felton?
what size on-street parking?
Okay,
Yeah,
so how many spaces on Felton are you? Like 2 spaces?
well, right now there's a curb cut where that garden patio is. So I'm not sure if we're doing anything on the sidewalk to re-curb that.
And when do you anticipate your first cycle for
Our first one.
cycles letter, the answers back from the city you gave them, say, we're applying for a permit,
Yeah,
how soon can you get your cycles?
I don't know.
Because you might have a bunch of issues with the parking.
Yeah. Do
You-
do you feel like that's something?
You might be back here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys have a concern for?
To a planning group, you have at least a first cycle person, so he's looked at all this stuff,
Mhm.
here's the issues.
Okay.
And then
Oh,
here.
maybe I am gonna do that.
You
Okay,
might,
well, you guys, you're great. This is America, democracy at work. So
you might
I'll
want
do
to,
that.
you might want to ask if the curb cut could be used for parking, because typically
Sure.
somebody will park there anyway,
Yeah.
but they technically could still get ticketed for
Yes.
parking on a curb cut.
Right, even your own home.
For
Yeah,
example, like accepting deliveries, stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
right.
totally. Okay.
Yes, that's Smith.
Not a question, comment. My friend Robbie is actually a farmer for the. I've walked past that building every single day, and I'm really excited about what you're proposing, and I think it's great.
So,
I'll second that. You're very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
so I think, for, usually the city gives us a little form and it is, approved, there's a little checkbox and that's all we do. It sounds like this one is more like a letter like we've done in support of the Adams Avenue Street Fair, where we say, this is going on and we approve.
That would be great if
We need to do both.
the cycle letter and this letter.
Well, because since you have a discretionary action, you do have to come for a formal recommendation from the planning group. So I think what Paul is talking about is that we can send a letter of support just for your concept, for your restaurant, that we as the planning group are supportive of it. But we do also, as part of like our formal recommendation, there's a form that Paul has to like check the box and get to your project manager at DSE, and that you have to have.
So, just because the holidays are coming, are you guys still meeting in November and December? Do you?
Definitely November, December, probably. Well, it's the first week, so yeah.
It's November 1.
Yeah.
December 1.
First
If-
Tuesday.
Yeah, if we miss one, it might be January just because it's so close to the holiday, but depends on where that. We don't want to meet on the 2nd, but if it's the 5th or something. it's probably-
You can tell your project manager, like, that's literally like getting, this recommendation is typically kind of the 11th hour thing, right? It's the last box you have to check, so you can still continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm,
You
got
know,
it.
you
Yeah,
literally
I already
just have to,
like presented twice in August. and that's
Exactly, and you can just let them know,
I
like,
like this.
yeah, like, I'm just coming back in November to like, seal the deal. but
Okay.
you know, you can certainly still have going for
And you guys are still meeting in the first month, like October 1 or something.
There's no plans for a hiatus at this point.
Yeah.
Or the good day, yeah.
First Tuesday, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Election day. We might have to adjust the date or something. Yeah. Let's take that up in executive session. And I think at this point, we should have a motion to,
Yeah, so let's
Uh,
support that separate.
Letter of support. So just so you're clear, the next presentation will be like formal draft that shows, stuff like the parking cut or whatever, just like
Okay.
the final. Like,
Okay, and I'll know that from our planner.
Yes.
yeah,
Guiding you through
that'll
that.
be more tech.
Okay, sure, maybe he, okay, and then, but you'll, after this meeting, sign off on the letter of support conceptually on the project and the use of it. Back to the detail.
Yeah,
Okay,
and mostly in that session, we would be looking at community plan, municipal code and seeing how they line up. So it's not like, do we like it or not? It's like, does it comply or not?
and, for me to be on the agenda, do I need to email you by a certain?
Yeah, and if
date,
I,
time?
or call, text, tug on my sleeve, yes.
Totally, okay,
At least 72 hours before the plan.
it doesn't need to be like presented at the previous meeting to be voted on to be. on the
No.
agenda.
No. Yeah, we form the agendas and then 72 hours before it goes on the door and at that point it's locked in.
Cool, I can see that you.
Okay, I think this worked out really well because. Or we look at. The motion of a letter of support. Okay,
All in favor?
okay, and then all in favor? That looks pretty unanimous.
Yeah.
No nays, no abstains.
Yeah, thank you for your.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got 20 new customers.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Fancy.
I can just pull that out, right?
Yeah. you did.
Okay.
You did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Uh, next up is, government representatives. We'll start with D9.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah from Council Office District 9. I just have a few updates. Has everyone taken our community budget survey by any chance? Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm gonna pass some flyers around. If you've already taken. I have a QR code and a link where you can go to. It has a few questions about what you recommend the city should invest in terms of programs and services for the next budget year. Okay. And next update is Canyon Park. So I reported in last month's meeting that the storefront building is planning on being demolished in winter, hopefully. That was delayed from the summer, it was delayed to fall. The reason for the delay is because they found asbestos in the building, which makes the demolition more complicated, and they're also negotiating. But hopefully, I would say in the next like 6 months, hopefully, the building will be done. And I understand there's also a lot of concerns. Jacob has emailed me earlier this week about there being like illegal activities, about graffiti, trash. I did relay that to the police department, and the council president also related to the chief of police. I'm still kind of waiting to hear from an update for them, but to my knowledge, it is being monitored daily by the police department. But if there's any other concerns, feel free to email me or call me. I also have my card if you want to reach out to me for any like specific issues you have with the park.
So if they're going daily, why are they not moving campus? Because the signs are there, no camping, the new city ordinance, no camping.
Yes.
But I do respectfully find it very hard to believe that the police are visiting Ward Kenny Park every day.
Well, it typically depends on like the type of encampment, honestly. We are working with Path of an organization. They're doing a lot of outreach to the homeless people out in Ward Canyon Park. But the issue is it just takes some time. Sometimes people don't want to be housed and there are other issues that are related to it. But to my knowledge, they are doing continuous engagement with the folks that are out there.
I saw that dangerous window got word, pretty sure. Help with the along.
I would ask, why isn't the property chain linked like we have over at 35th and Adams?
That's a good question. I can ask city staff about
Okay,
that.
that might be an interim solution.
Is there any way, so the reason it's being delayed, we're saying just because of the asbestos test?
Yes.
Do you know when that test was taken? Can we get any information on that?
They only told me that there was asbestos in the building, which makes it more complicated to demolish. I think they have to remove the asbestos
Who's
first.
they?
They, like the engineering department, they're the ones demolishing the building.
My
And
understanding
that's all in accordance with the Ward Canyon General Development Plan update.
my understanding is that the presence of asbestos changes the contract.
Yeah.
And so they're in the process of negotiating the price of the demolition
I guess, fine.
with asbestos.
More specific question, I'd like to know specifically when that asbestos test was taken.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I can ask engineering staff about that. Okay. Any other questions about Ward Canyon? Yes.
You were attending the last CRG of Adams, out there, and we asked about the drug use. Has there been any contact with city schools and that they're not bringing drug use? Because, like all, 25 or 30-year duration. So the principal has locked everything up, and 2 years, 3 years ago, signed something that said that that little piece of grass within the chain link area is supposed to be open after school hours, and it's not. So please.
So I know I've had actually a few folks inquire about that months ago, and it was not city staff that would be responsible for opening and closing it. I believe maybe it was the school, but I would have to check back on the notes about that. But if you can also send me an email, it always helps to get things in writing, it also helps me remember it better.
And I thought Jim, who was the chair of the CRG, sent out the joint agreement to everyone. I didn't send it to you.
I don't. Any other questions?
We need to get the principal.
Well, I'm talking to today around and she gave me a call. She was there for the police meeting, and I went struck all out, completely struck all of them. And I came back from the school. I go to a school and I'm in the pool with my dog. I mean, go to a reading program. I came back and completely, but it was gone. It was already about 11. Like 31 o'clock.
So yeah, Jenny Hall, your community relations officer, you can contact her as well. For
That's what I
anything,
did.
I can always also connect you as well with her, but she's great. Mhm. Okay, and next, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Adams Avenue Street Fair organizers and attendees. It was a huge success. We also tabled there on that Sunday, which was the 22nd, and we had a lot of great interaction with people. So that was great. And then finally, I just want to let you all know that there is going to be a curbside collection event tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week on Wednesday. And that will be in the morning at 7:30 a.m. And so if you have any like appliances, electronics, mattresses that you want to get rid of, you can put it out on your curb. It is only on specific streets in Normal Heights, so, and it's exclusively to Normal Heights residents. And so feel free to connect with me on that person, and I'll let you know what streets. And that's it for me. Any questions?
Yeah. So, like, if I don't live on that street, do I just go to that? Okay, but only if I live on that street, I can participate.
Only if you live on that street.
Okay, right.
Other curbside collection events like, depending, you know, on the resources of ESD and whatnot, but
Gotcha, okay.
right now they are only on specific streets, so you can't just like go and dump your items if you don't live on. They'll be going later this week to like drop off the notices to the houses. And, so people who live on that street will know when to put out their appliances, and again, if you have any sort of details or concerns about that, you can discuss me.
When is it again?
That will be on Wednesday, October 9th.
And how do we find out which street?
You can connect with me on
And
it
how do we connect with you?
through email, phone number. I
What
can
is
give you
your
my
email?
card. I'll give you my card.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
You have,
Any other questions?
you have any idea how those streets were identified?
I identified them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because
just
there's
depending
junk
on the-
street all the time, or
Sorry?
Just because there's junk on the street out there already?
Well, it really just depends on the route. So we pretty much had like a meeting with ESC to determine the streets that need it the most. And so I helped them like identify it. But if there are any other streets of concerns,
Well,
you can always let me know.
that's my question, how did you identify?
Well, like, actually, I helped out by putting it on the, Normal Heights, community Facebook page
Yeah,
and said, hey, everybody, let me know. And then I forwarded that list. So it's kind of unscientific and informal.
A lot of people expressed opinion, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
whoever spoke up got,
I just like to post some kind of event so people can know too.
Well, again, this is also the reason why we don't want it to get out to just like everyone. Sometimes people from outside the neighborhood come and dump their stuff. So that's why I recommend like connecting with me directly on it. But yeah, and I don't just like create the streets out of thin air. So,
Kensington has a,
Because I know the whole neighborhood has it, there's bridges and mattresses around the neighborhood right now.
yeah,
and that's
The end of the
something I can elevate to the department too. If there's a really strong need in a particular street, I can always elevate that. Just streets.
yeah, we have a cycle of, end of the month, rent or move, large item goes in alley, get it done, gets filed, and then the truck comes around, picks it up.
Mm.
And it's sort of the cycle of life in Normal Heights.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks. I'm gonna pass these around. You, this is from, Fatima is going to be our representative from the mayor's office, and she'll be attending, meetings, not tonight, but, unfortunately, but going forward, she'll be, the mayor's representative, here. So that'll be nice, because we haven't had a lot of representation from the mayor's office at these meetings. So what this is her, her update report, and I'll just touch on the highlights here, because it's quite extensive. On homelessness, the safe sleeping has been expanded. There's some addresses here, they're not in Normal Heights. And then the safe parking is doubling up with the H barracks. Also, that's not in Normal Heights. More teams for street outreach. And you have a diversified shelter system. And establishing homelessness strategies and solutions department has been established. On infrastructure, which is a little more centric to us, road repair. Mayor Todd Gloria today announced the city has surpassed 1,650 miles of street repair in less than 4 years, more than 600 miles further than the previous 4 years. Then there's some details on how that's calculated. There's a new team for mill pave. I'm not exactly sure what a mill is. Is that milling the street down? Grinding it? Okay, so grinding and paving. Updates to the street preservation ordinance. Not exactly sure what we would be preserving on a street. Stormwater, there's more money from the EPA on that. That's good for Choya Valley and Canto. Upgrades to the dam. Public safety, deploying smart streetlights. combined smart streetlight cameras and ALPR technologies in an initial 500 locations citywide. I thought that the smart streetlights were already disabled. They've been installed in like 2020 and then they got turned off because of issues around the cameras.
Turned a few more on and just installed them all, yeah,
Turned a bunch back
a few
on.
months ago, yeah.
Okay. Addressing the fentanyl crisis. Banned ghost guns, secured emergency services contract. New police chief and fire chief. Do we have any interest in having either of the new chiefs come by?
I would suggest maybe Jenny Hall could come talk to us next meeting, because there is zero news. You can find nothing on the 2 shootings that happened in Normal Heights in the last 2 weeks, 2 attempted murders. 1 person was shot, and we can't find any information on it. Maybe she could
So
come talk to us. Maybe you don't know if they're related or what.
I'll ask for,
got some inquiries on it.
Okay.
But I
then we'll collect that for the next meeting.
Yeah, no.
Okay, on housing bridge to home program. This is gap financing. And 2 housing action packages. We should probably be apprised of what those action packages are.
probably blueprint, general plan refresh is one I would.
And the complete communities now, fast track.
Goes on there, but. What about that? I don't know if they're still talking about half 2.0, but that's kind of old news. So yeah, I have.
Okay,
There's a lot of old stuff. I think she's just getting caught up. You knew higher.
she's a new hire. Yeah. So this is the first information dump for her and also for us.
Not, you know,
Oh, that's my fault. I printed this from her email. I'll include her email address in the meeting minutes.
So was there anything on here that applies to Normal Heights?
Complete Communities now accelerates the process for appeals. So the window for an appeal is, I think, 30 days. So if we hear something, we only get 1 cycle to respond to it. And an appeal costs $1,000. There's no waivers for the community planning groups anymore. So at this point, we can't afford an appeal. Yes.
Where it says like, the safe sleeping expanded and it's saying that there's all these additional spaces in the first bullet point. Are those parking spaces? So you need to have a car?
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
There are the
you do,
people
yeah.
that are. that
It's
live
all-
in there.
It's all cars.
Do we know
Okay.
where the closest one to Normal Heights is?
Down in Mission Valley.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jewish Family Services there?
Yeah.
Friars and Christian.
Yeah. Is that what it is? I forget what's the
Mi- Mission Gorge,
Village.
Missionville.
Yeah, Mission
Goes
Village.
up from the
Okay.
stadium. Yeah.
Then I know, we kind of talked about, like, I asked you about this, but, is there safe camping, sites for like homeless individuals? Like,
Normal Heights?
or even just like in the city of San
Double
Diego? Double, it's like legal to camp there?
Yeah, they just got
It's-
250 more spots today.
In the lower parking, kind of toward the Navy Medical Center.
Hold on.
Okay,
If you're ever like on the 5 north, if you look like right before the 163 split, you can see them.
Yeah. Is that the only one?
And there's one at 20th and B, which is the old op yards at the bottom of Golden Mall. It's flooded.
Okay, any other questions? I can take that back to Fatima if there's any questions in the room.
Next time, just focus on your.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with her on Monday.
Yeah. So, is there any sort of more equal?
Okay,
We have the real more. Goes on with the top, red, goes on with the other. Compare, and make them so. We have the real north, that's right there. They didn't do any, they patched a little here and there, they did not repave it, but they painted all the lines. On the, on the. Sure, but there's painted line, where did you say exactly? There, you know, in the post office down in the valley. Yeah. The whole stretch, it goes from when you're trimming on to, one goes to Mission, I guess, the Mission, one road, and then the bridge that goes across the, board or whatever. Stretch. For the sky thing, you know, yeah, high fly, there's Starbucks out the whole area, there's Hilton, I think, and different businesses there. And they patched a little here and there, it's still kind of rough onto it, I go through all the time. But they painted all the lines in the road, and they didn't redo anything with the street.
We can check in with city staff about that. On the plan for it, and I'm not sure if they're planning on like repaving it entire, they're doing repair.
I know, but it's still rough.
The lines were faded.
Yeah, they were. You go right through there. Don't go through it all.
They told me
You
that-
get it done, Mike? You get it done?
In my experience, usually that means the paving project is so far away, they still need to restripe it, so for visibility for lanes.
okay. I'll run through the rest of the, do we have any representatives from county supervisor, state senate, state assembly, federal senate, federal congress? Okay, moving on to community groups, Adams Avenue Business Association. Is anybody speaking for Scott? Okay, he couldn't be here this evening. Kudos and absentia for the Adams Avenue Street Fair. Community garden update. We met with Andy Field from Parks and Recreation, and it looks like we have a green light for a community garden at Ward Canyon Park. Kenny was there along with Julia's local gardener, and John Selby is our sort of corporate sponsor on this. So the next step is economic development will draft a lease agreement, and then the counter signature will need to be with a legal entity, which could be Normal Heights for Smart Growth or Normal Heights Community Development Corporation. The latter would probably be the most obvious because they are the legal entity for this group as well. Both of them are, yes. So it's probably about 4 months before we would have an opening at this point. As by the time we get through the lease agreement and then getting the water turned on. Right now, 28. They'll be phased in as we can afford. Yes, so if you're familiar with 40th Street, where you come off the 15 freeway and it heads south and then is blockaded, There's two dog parks there just before you get to the house on the corner. The furthest one that's right up against the houses, that dog park was shut down because there was too much dust and noise and smell and so on. So they moved that dog park to the center of Ward Canyon Park, and it's just been sitting empty. The original plan was to put a community garden there. So there's been a lot of card shuffling in the park. But now we're back to the original design, which is to put a community garden in. The current plan was to have a consulting company design the park, a community garden, and then have the city put it in. And we're fast tracking that by providing them with the organization, the structure to design, and the labor and some money. So backside of the park, yeah, on the other side of the canyon, basically. If you think of Ward Canyon as actually having a canyon, it's on the south side of that canyon.
Doing like elementary schools, doing a plot in there, so elementary schools could come in and do it. Something the people of the classroom, they're done.
Right.
Is it part of the joint use area? Or is that outside of their joint use? No, it's not this.
It's 100% Parks and Rec.
But, yeah, that.
Right. There is an education component to this. So interfacing with the school, Julia had talked about that because she's working on a grant that involves the school and working a garden. And so a lot of these things are sort of all culminating at one place. Yeah. Yeah, plenty of room. Of the 28 plots only cover about a third of to almost half the space. The other half of the space will be a native garden, native plants. Okay. Yes. So I think at this point, we have all the boxes checked to make the city happy, and they just have to work through the bureaucracy of actually filling out the paperwork. Okay. We're going to skip the standing committees this month in favor of an executive session at the end. But I do want to cover community engagement.
Yeah, so Sammy and I met and we just kind of we just had a general discussion about community engagement and what that would look like as we increased our efforts to engage the community. Basically, we came up with things like, we use a city document that I can send to everybody too if you want to review it. But the city kind of makes suggestions how we can form partnerships in our community, etc. So we thought it would be beneficial to the group to increase locations where we post the agenda. The city recommends public hubs like grocery store or coffee shops. So we identify places like Dark Horse or even Blind Lady, Bonds, stuff like that, Bika even. Not only are we thinking about increasing where we post our agendas, but a general flyer. We want to make a general flyer and start posting it at different places throughout the neighborhood. We like to start inviting, like kind of Alan's presentation today. The short-term rental presentation creates an opportunity to get people in here who are just like really concerned or interested in short-term rentals. So I actually did create an event for it. It was a little too late to create it, but we're thinking if we can start being proactive in doing stuff like that to generate interest in specific groups, to attract them to our meeting, basically. So more presentations on different topics that the community is interested in. We think it's a good idea to start partnerships or increasing our partnerships with like organizations like the Normal Heights Community Association and other CPGs. There are places where we could put our flyer too, like in Normal Heights Living magazine. It's just a short magazine by some realtors, but they do put it out every month. We also from the city document, realized we could, put on more casual meetings every now and then to, without the formal pressure of a community planning group meeting, basically inviting the neighborhood here, to express any concerns that they have beyond like a 2-minute public, comment where we could actually have a discussion as a neighborhood. We'd like to start tracking, audience attendance and actually having that in a spreadsheet where everyone, so we can like watch our community engagement grow, so we have some kind of metric. We're working on the email. Paul and Sammy and I have kind of been emailing the last month about updating the website. We had a couple roadblocks, but I think we're getting there, the updated version. Let's see, financial needs, the financial part of that. We had talked many months ago about possibly acquiring a domain or whatever it would be for people to participate in our elections every year virtually for people who can't make it. Also financial needs, I had kind of requested financial information for the last couple of years from our treasurer. I got that information. I'm basically trying to investigate and look at what we're spending money on and if we're using the whole $500 that the city is willing to reimburse every year. So we kind of agreed that we should be using every penny. If the city's giving Normal Heights $500, they're not giving it, but they will reimburse up to $500 every year. We kind of agreed that it's like we are obligated to make sure that Normal Heights gets that money, whether it's just for community engagement efforts or for virtual voting technology, digital advertising. We talked about things even like bus bench ads. We could put up just for 1 month on a bus bench, like on Adams Ave. We talked about using finance and doing fundraising for the community garden. And I just added this, but maybe even for those $1,000 appeals you're talking about. I don't know if that would be something we could raise money for.
I believe that is something that the CPGs do, raise money, to put in reserve in case they need to, spend it on the city.
I don't think it's, I think it's feasible, we could do that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just a general meeting. We still have some questions like, Scott was concerned with, soliciting food or beverage from businesses on Adams Avenue. But I checked the language again, and the city does encourage us to build a meaningful relationships and partnerships with businesses in our neighborhood. So as long as it's not like, Scott gave the example, like, for example, when DeMillies was there, they get like 5 or 10 people every day going in there saying, sponsor my soccer team, or, give us some stuff for this. It's really not like that. This is about inviting, first of all, letting them know we still exist, we're over here, inviting them to our meetings, and then building that relationship. But basically, you get a chance to come, introduce your business, tell people you're still there too, the same way we're doing it with them. And if they feel obliged, they could donate something for our community engagement efforts to get the neighborhood interested in it.
Okay.
That's about it.
I think that dovetails, into the,
Just one thing, did spend our full $500 this last year, and I bought $500 worth of postcard stamps. So if you want to mail out postcards in the neighborhood, we need some of them for the undergrounding, but it was the last day of the year.
Okay.
So we were like, we may as well just,
Yeah, that's what we were thinking
So,
too.
yeah, I have a big old.
So like by the time this end of year comes, if we haven't spent the 500 we get reimbursed, we could totally like print a stack of flyers that can, that aren't like dated or anything, just general information about the meeting and when we meet and where we meet. And we just have a backstop of a bunch of flyers. Stuff
That
like
sounds like a
that,
great idea.
making sure we spend that.
yeah, we can have flyers with a blank spot. You can add to it.
That'd be.
Yeah.
They like a QR code that you can
I like
change
that.
those and edit them, so like you can change them.
I like that.
Yeah.
Having a full staff to-
Yeah.
That might, the information might change over time, like our old flyers.
Yeah, right.
That's a great idea.
We still have a huge stack of those, flyers that need stickers on them.
But if anybody does have any information, the only thing that's kind of like on the fence, can we do this or not, is really the soliciting businesses, but all the language I read, it's completely fine. If anyone else has information, I'd love a link or to hear it, or.
Sure.
In response to that, I would just
Yeah.
prefer what Scott had they worked it, we wanna have a good relationship with Adams Avenue, but so there might be a reason that we're
Yeah,
talking to him about.
So maybe
why-
include him in those. efforts.
Yeah.
Identify.
Trying to understand why that would be the case, why.
Okay.
Okay, Daniel?
Yes, you mentioned that you have a booth at the street front. How much traffic did you get when people?
We increased our mailing list by more than 10%. We had 12 people who specifically said they were interested in board seats. But did I count every single person who came to the booth? No, but I'd say at least half of everyone who came to the booth signed up. So whatever that 10% increase is, I think.
Yeah, so
I
there was-
think a guess would be to double that.
That would be 54 new signups that actually signed in, so we probably talked to about 100 people.
Already 500.
Yes.
We could also, I'm not necessarily advocating in either direction, but like, if like when you're talking with spot, if you're like troubleshooting. And we don't have a purchase earmarked for the $500 yet, we could use some of those funds. To purchase things from the small businesses and like still.
That wouldn't be an approved use of funds though.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like an approved list of funds. I'll get those specific and maybe report what those funds or what those approved items are.
Getting ink for the printing of
And
those.
printing, printing, this owl could have been reimbursed, but I didn't see that when I did the personal audit. I didn't see the owl.
No, we took that out of the pot,
What pot?
the funds that we had in the bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we paid for, I think, 2/3 of it, and Adams Avenue Business Association paid for 1/3.
Sweet. So normal high school community plan group paid for 2/3.
Yeah, with the,
That could have been reimbursed.
We-
is what I'm
yeah.
saying.
exactly. And we had hoped to have one other entity throw in for the other third, but didn't happen.
If I could just throw one last thing in, is there
Yeah.
any way to make it so that donations to this group would be tax write-off? We would have to be a nonprofit
They
to
could,
do that, right?
they could make a donation to the Normal Heights Community Development Corporation, who holds our funds and is a nonprofit entity.
So that is.
And then and then earmark the donation for use by the CPG.
They need to have a tab for direct.
Exactly.
Return.
Okay. Kenny's your expert on this.
But yeah, it was a good meeting. We are stoked to get more people involved from all different backgrounds. I think if we're persistent, we can do that. We could fill this room.
Have a hard time finding the thing.
Yeah, I did too.
Yes.
Putting a QR code on the flyers.
Yeah.
Because you could also, have surveys asking the community what topics they would want to have as part of that discussion. And then also potentially a survey asking how they would want the $500 to be spent or allocated by the time frame. And with the postcard stamps, is that something that can be distributed out to the community or something?
It would have to be for official business. It has to be something that we're sending out. Yeah, it's not just like, it's not Normal Heights money, it's Normal Heights Community Planning Group money.
Okay.
And we know what we can spend it on, because there's a list of approved spending.
I think it would be good to get input from the community on what
Totally.
we could, for the group team.
Okay. Then
That's it.
that concludes the main meeting. We're going to go into an executive session now, and the public is certainly welcome to stay, but the concept of it is that as a group, we don't get to talk to each other out in the wild because the Brown Act prevents us from discussing topics related to board business outside of public forum. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna have a general discussion, gonna be very free flowing. Welcome to stay, but I think what we'll do is we're gonna just kind of get in a circle here in the middle and get rid of the tables.
We do.
And yes, let's let's take 10 minutes. We've got plenty of time.
Just, I was gonna tell Jake, I'll probably come back. Orlando Business District, they do that every month. They have people donate food to them.
Oh,
And
sure.
then they advertise the business every month. They've been doing it for years. So I think you guys are perfectly fine, especially when when you got your group, you say, hey, we want to thank,
Yeah,
giving them donuts for giving us
yeah,
donuts or
definitely.
whatever.
I think the first time we did it, I just brought in some Girl Scout cookies, that, and said, hey, if you want more, Carolyn McEwen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they do it all.
yeah,
So
okay.
That's just, and I do want to thank you guys for letting us have the booth for the at the fair. Oh, street fair is amazing. We have
Okay, that's Scott's doing.
he's not here, so that's why I didn't really mention that. But it was a great turnout, and you guys extended it, right? It looked like it was larger than it has been in the past.
In terms of like the number of blocks,
Yeah,
I think there was another block. I think
Yeah, I
there was one
thought it was
additional
longer.
block too,
yeah.
maybe.
I thought it was too. But it was a
It's
great
the-
event.
I
And-
seem to remember in the past, like 35th and Adams, at the end of it, went all the way down to like, almost to Bonds.
Well, it did go to Vaughn.
Yeah,
Last night,
okay,
but going west, it went to the 805 almost.
really?
Yeah, and
Well, that's
it
huge. I didn't get down there.
was extremely huge. That's what I'm saying. I've
Then they
never
added
seen
four-
it.
They must have added 4 blocks.